For me, from a very early career of my teaching, I'm not saying from day one, but very early, maybe second, third year, that ideal of teaching which I described to you in the very beginning, that uh, helping students become rationally independent, has been at the center, and therefore all those conditions of interaction with them. Now, uh, part of my teaching, not everything, part of my teaching is consciously worked out from that. But it works out very differently at the primary level, at upper primary, at secondary, and at the university. The same principle manifests itself in different ways. As I have been talking in primary, this affective or emotional aspect is very important. Direct experiences, guided kind of taking forward is very important. Freedom of pace is, in a sort of unqualified manner that a child learns with her own pace is extremely important. Constant encouragement is extremely important. Uh, you will find me conservative when I describe it for middle. Now, in the middle school, I would actually, because this is also part of education now, to uh, to do expected job, even if you don't like it very much, and in the given time, because the world is such. And one aspect of education is definitely preparing for the life in this big, bad, ugly world. And therefore, in the middle classes, I would sort of start hinting at one, characteristics of different disciplines, which in the primary I use but don't hint to the child. In the middle class, I will start hinting at those characteristics and giving examples, not definitions or verbal descriptions, but experiences. I would start demanding, and I taught in middle class, and I did, I would start demanding that a piece of work be finished in a given time. I would start, less kind of emotional dependence and protection, and I start critique. In the primary, I will laugh at the mistakes and give funny examples to make the point rather than critiquing. In the middle, I'll start that. In the secondary level, again I have taught at the secondary level also. At the secondary level, I would expect much more independence. Even if you don't like something, this is part of the curriculum, part of education, you have to learn it. There is no way. I can help you, but you have to learn it. And I'll put much more emphasis on the rigor. Earlier, this is only a sort of encouragement that isn't this better here. Now, okay, this doesn't meet the standards, you have to work hard on this. I don't mind saying that plainly. So therefore, you see that I am becoming more and more conservative as I go up. In this background, if I talk about the university teaching, I expect, this didn't happen very well, but I expect a lot of independence from the university students. Best method to my mind is creating a Socratic kind of dialogue. And it doesn't matter, the thing I couldn't communicate in my classes in the university is that in creating a Socratic kind of dialogue, it is not necessary that you know the topic or subject and you have lots of information on this beforehand. What is needed is that you are somewhat unashamed and fearless in raising the questions and being true to your own cognitive processes. If you didn't understand something, if you don't accept an argument, then striving to articulate why you don't understand. Why don't you accept? And what is your counter argument? So at the university level, a few methods I have been using and I would like to use. One is creating this Socratic dialogue. Another is taking a piece of reading, going through it and analyzing it with the students. Again, the dialogue will come in that also, because I'll give my view as well as others' views, etc. I also encourage students to discuss among themselves, but I find it very hard to uh, give time in the timetable, university timetable for group work, etc. Therefore, I generally suggest do it outside the classroom. My last recurse when I cannot finish the course is delivering a lecture, which I often end up doing at the end. Usually speaking, if you look at the pattern of my, and perhaps you can tell me better about my classes than I can tell. My classes have a pattern and a cycle. First, I open a discussion with the hope that some kind of Socratic dialogue will open, and it will raise lots of questions in people's mind which may not be answered here. And at the second level, they are expected to read. Then some of those answers those questions either could be answered, or their own answers could be challenged through that text, and therefore another imbalance is created. Epistemic imbalance I consider absolutely necessary at the university level for learning. What I mean by epistemic imbalance is that I have a particular kind of view. I have some confusion, or I have some gaps, and I am aware of that. Or I have a view and there is a counter view, and I do not know which one to choose. So these kinds of situations are necessary conditions for learning to primary. So I try to create these situations in the classroom. Then somehow, because of my age or because of my style, students don't realize that even when I am expressing some opinion very clearly in the classroom, I am open to challenge. I fail to communicate that to my mind. They think that if I am saying something, then I am wedded to it, and if they challenge, then I wouldn't like it, or I'll be angry or something. Partly this might be because for pedagogical reasons, I argue on a position very hard. So if a student gets up, say, I don't consider this is right or this thing, I wouldn't leave it that. I think that's if someone leaves at that, then that person is not a good teacher. One has to ask, well, why? What is the problem? You have to articulate your problem. So when I insist students to articulate that problem, I am doing it pedagogically so that they are encouraged to articulate and come up with some formulation which could be explained. They think that I am sort of discouraging them or rejecting their position. So this is one big problem in my university teaching, which I still not able to resolve. My own experience is that about 20 to 25% students in the classroom like my teaching. Another about 40 might be ambiguous about it, whether this should be liked or not, etc. And 20% actually don't think I am doing a good job. That seems to be a consistent pattern in last about 10 years. And I have been trying to sort of find a way out of it, but I don't think I am very successful. But I believe after interview you can tell me more about it than I can tell, because you have experienced some of them at least. So I do not know whether I answered your university question adequately. The point I wanted to emphasize is this. This is, to my mind, one kind of manifestation of the same principles of teaching which I articulated in the beginning at a university adult level. I should add one more thing to it. I have read several articles because my colleagues at different places urged me to read on adult learning, and then they characterize adult learning, and I see all of these things in the child learning as well. So I that this studies in adult learning and this is fundamentally different from the child learning or school level learning may not stand rigorous scrutiny. This might be an intellectual fashion actually, rather than something else. I'll stop there.